In this section, we will solve polynomial equations by factoring. So far, we learned a few factoring methods, and now we will apply these methods to solve polynomial equations. We will be using zero product property to solve polynomial equations. To understand it, let's look at some examples. When we add a few numbers, the result may be zero, as seen in these examples. So we may use different combinations of numbers and add them, and the result may be zero. We may come up with infinite many combinations of numbers that result with zero without having an idea of what each number is. So any three numbers added when the result is zero, we have no idea what these numbers are. However, if we consider multiplication of numbers, when they result with a product of zero, one of the factors has to be zero for the product to be zero. Once we know that product of some numbers is zero, we will have some idea about the factors. In this case, either the triangle or the circle or the square should be zero for the product to be zero. The zero product property tells us that if the product of two or more factors is zero, then one of the factors have to be zero. Let's see an example. This is a polynomial equation, namely it is a quadratic equation. To be able to apply the zero product property for solving this equation, we should have zero on one side of the equation. We can achieve this by subtracting 2x from both sides of the equation. To apply the zero product property, we can write this polynomial in factored form by factoring out the greatest common factor, which is x. When we factor out x, we can write it as x times x minus 2 equals 0. Once we have the product equal to 0, we can say that either one factor, which is x, is 0, or the other factor, which is x minus 2, is 0. We can solve this equation by adding 2 to both sides and find x equals 2. So this equation has two solutions. X is either 0 or it is 2.